it's Justin and Bethany from the Flack Fam, and we have some questions that need answering.
That sounds super important.
It is! It's important for us.
Well, it is. Honestly, this is going to be a very different video. We are typically showcasing our family traveling, and no one can travel. It's getting a little bit better, but I don't know if it should, and that's what we're talking about.
That's what we want to talk about.
So already this year, we've missed 2 trips. We have Mexico that we're planning on going to in the next month, and then we have Disney World, a really big trip to Disney World, well, at Christmas.
Over Christmas break.
And we're not so worried about that one, but we are a little bit questioning whether we should be going to Mexico in a month. We have a bunch of different thoughts in our head, and we keep going back and forth, and we keep asking our kids, and I think our kids are getting really sick and tired of us asking. Abby's just like, we're going, I don't care.
I don't think she sees it as an issue.
And Olivia is like, stop talking to me. That's what Olivia is.
And I'm a little more nervous that Olivia really thinks that it is an issue, but that she just doesn't want to say that it's an issue.
Maybe. I think Olivia's not afraid of this at all.
Okay. She was a little weirded out when we went to a store and everyone had masks on.
Yeah, but that's intimidating.
Right, and that was the first time that we did go out.
But also, that's part of our issue. So maybe what we do, because we haven't really talked about what we're going to do, but maybe what we do is we talk about our concerns, and then what we were hoping, because we can't figure out our own problems, is that you guys would figure it out for us.
We'll kind of tell you what we've thought about, and then maybe you could help us and say, hey, you didn't talk about this, or you said you weren't concerned about this, but I would be concerned about this.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of things to think about, and it's so much information, and of course, because of the climate in our nation right now, there's a whole bunch of different information, and because of recent events, that coronavirus information is even harder to find, and it's even more fragmented from what Bethany and I can tell. So that's our confusion here, and so yeah, we'll just jump into this.
Right.
And we would love to hear your guys' thoughts. In fact, that is 100% why we're making this video instead of publishing the ones that we have ready, is because we want to know what you guys think.
And since we were going to travel in a month, we would love to have your thoughts now so you can help us make that decision whether we should go or not.
And then when we go, because you told us to go, and we all come back sick, just kidding. Just kidding. From what we can tell, and all we can see is, we see the news about what's going on in the nation, especially on the East Coast, how things are kind of status quo. And we see how things are here in Utah. The things here in Utah are actually on the rise. And when we go out in public, Bethany and I are probably
one of
I would say
20
that we went to the store today, and there were probably 500 people in the store. And Bethany's right, there were probably 20 or less people with masks on. I know that there's people out there that don't think they need to wear masks, and I respect that. But I'm wearing a mask, 1, for myself, 2, because I'm concerned about giving it to other people. And it scares me that other people aren't necessarily as concerned for my safety. But that's been going on for a month.
Wow.
And
we just had our highest day yesterday, Friday the 19th.
It's definitely not done, and so that's concerning, because in the next month we could get it and we wouldn't be allowed to travel. we shouldn't travel.
Right.
We should be responsible and stay home. We could have it before we get on the flight and not know it.
Another thought is work. So I work in a hospital, and recently they still are not allowing us to travel for business. They did push that through August 1st, but they're not telling the people that work at the hospital, the staff, to not travel anymore. They're just saying if you have symptoms, then don't come into work, of course. But if you don't have symptoms, then come back to work. You don't need to tell us that you went out of the country or anything like that. Whereas prior to this, like a week before, I had to call and say, hey, I'm gonna be out of the country. And I would have to call back and say, I just got back. And most likely I would have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So that's been a recent change, but again, like Justin was saying, our numbers are rising. So is it going to change again where we need to stay put again? Has anyone experienced that in any other states?
Yeah. And it's been kind of weird because it seems like in Utah, what we did was we shut down everything and we didn't shut down like everyone else did. We had a soft recommended stay-at-home order. Nothing closed except for dine-in restaurants. That was it. But it was almost like we watched what happened on the East Coast in the state of Utah, and we just reacted accordingly. And then, like, well, it's been a month, and we did our due diligence, so now everything's going to open back up again.
Right.
And now our numbers are coming up, and so yeah, we look to people on the East Coast that have been going through this and say, what do you think? Is it, what's going on? We don't expect that anyone over there is an expert. In fact, there are no experts on coronavirus, as we can all see. But
I have looked at the CDC website so many times, especially related to Mexico. Mexico's not close to the U.S. So far, it's fine to travel there and to travel back as far as we can tell. But I worry that we go and then can we get back in?
Are we able to get back?
Would they say, no, you need to stay in Mexico for 2 weeks? I have no idea. I have no idea what they would say.
Yeah, it's hard to find information on what would happen. It's hard to find information on Mexico's numbers. So if you're in Mexico, we would love to hear what it's like there on the ground in Mexico. We want to come. Like, we want to go to Mexico really badly. We love it there. And we want to get out on vacation. That's another thing. But
absolutely.
But we're having a hard time finding information. In fact, the only information that we have seen is a couple on YouTube that relocated to Cancun mid-May, and their videos are delayed. So they just moved, and they haven't really shown the videos of what it's like there yet.
Yeah. There was one news report recently that I did watch that as they were looking back at some of their deaths, they were saying this was probably related to coronavirus, but we weren't really testing. And so as they're looking back, they think their numbers were probably higher than they thought. But again, I don't know how correct that is. And I mean, anyone could guess and say, yeah, I think this could be related to coronavirus, but maybe it wasn't.
For sure. One of the things that we are nervous / not nervous about, it's a question in our head, but I'm not as concerned as I thought I would be, is going to a hotel. It's funny, I watched a couple of news reports and then saw some YouTubers that were talking about going back to Universal, and they would say they're going back and they're showcasing this is what it's like in Universal. And then every single one of them said, I'm not quite comfortable eating. in out quite yet. And I thought, wow, that's not even something that I had thought about. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, that is something we might need to be concerned about. Maybe not. I don't know. The place that we're going to Cancun, and it's an all-inclusive resort. So is that something that we ought to be concerned about? I don't know. The other thing is, what is there to do? So as far as we can tell, as of June 1st, most of Cancun opened up. So all of the Xcaret properties opened up, and with that, a bunch of the resorts were opening up. We have seen some people vlogging from the resort that we're going to, and it was dead. There was no one there.
So that would be the bonus, is that if nobody was there, but if we can't do anything, then that might, I mean, not that I can't sit at the beach every day for a week, but I don't know that the kids can.
I think the kids can. I know I can't. I am not somebody that goes and stays at a resort and doesn't go out and experience things.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you're not. I know that you are.
No, but I could sit at the beach for sure.
For sure, yes.
Yeah, I could do either.
I've been with her when she has. It's not, that's not that big of a concern, but there are a lot of little things. Like, I know some hotels aren't doing maid service, not room service, but having someone come in and clean your room every day, and that makes me feel a little bit better. But at the same time, I know that these businesses have to go to great lengths to make sure that their visitors and their guests are taken care of.
We have gotten emails, of course, from them saying what they are doing, and of course everyone is saying, hey, we're cleaning, hey, we're making sure that you're safe. So we have received that from the hotel that we're planning on staying in. So they're obviously aware of it. I mean, they had to close down and now they are reopened. Same with the airplane. We are flying Delta, and Delta has sent us an email, several emails.
Delta emails me daily. Thanks, Delta. You make me feel better, but the emails are excessive.
Right, but they have promised that the middle seat will not be occupied.
Yeah, they're promising essentially that they're going to stay at 60% capacity.
Right.
So it's every other seat. So middle seats don't exist anymore on Delta flights through a certain time.
September 30th, they will not fill that middle seat. Now, if you're in the same party, yeah, they're going to sit you next to each other. But if you're not in the same party...
Which sucks, because I don't want to sit with my family.
Right? We were kind of thinking we could maybe spread out, but I think we'll still have three of us together on this side. And then Justin will be on the other side, and he'll have all this room with the other seat.
No, there will be somebody sitting next to me. That's what I was just going to say.
Not right next to you.
Right. Oh my goodness. I am not concerned to fly. I think that the airlines have been hit so hard that they are taking great lengths to, not all, I mean, we've seen some airlines that
they're packed.
Well, they're packed, and they're, for something like this where they've got to stay so clean and so they're understaffed, we feel comfortable, I feel comfortable flying. Bethany's a little bit more nervous, but the email that you sent, Delta, really worked on her.
It helped. It helped a lot. I guess it's just one of those things that I think if I'm going to get sick on a trip, it's most likely going to be on the airplane. I feel like either I have been on the plane and it's a couple days into our trip and all of a sudden I don't feel so good, or we're on our way home and a couple days after I don't feel so good. I feel like planes are good places to breed bacteria or viruses.
She's got me rethinking my entire existence. I agree that there's always, I call it the vacation aftermath. Like, inevitably one of us gets sick after a vacation. Inevitably one of our kids gets sick on vacation. Olivia's had pneumonia. Abby's had hand, foot, and mouth twice. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's horrible.
It's awful.
It's horrible. And it sounds a lot worse than it's not disgusting in the way that it sounds. But anyways.
They just feel horrible.
We've had that happen, but I've never connected it to the airplane, but maybe I should have. But I have traveled so much for work that I don't know. But I'm also not like shoving my hands in my mouth, I don't think. But
right, so when the kids were littler, I think that's always an issue, right? Just with kids. But
yeah.
For us, I think we'll just be more cautious. We would make sure we wiped everything down. I would take my little Clorox wipes if anybody else has any other things that they've maybe done that have made them feel a little more comfortable.
When we're not overly concerned about getting sick, even though maybe we should be, but what our main fears are getting stuck, not being able to go back to work. This one, the kids.
Oh, right.
We talked a little bit about it, but this is one where we're like, we just don't know if they're scared or they're not. We don't know if they know right now how to emotionally make a decision where it's, I want to go on this vacation because I'm sick and tired of being at home. I didn't get to see my friends for school. I didn't, there's all those things. So are they making this snap decision to go, but deep down they're terrified? That's another thought that we have.
Right. And my thoughts about that, because it really is our decision whether we take our kids or not, but my thought on that is that kids really aren't getting the coronavirus. I know it is possible for kids to get it, but the number of kids that are getting it is very low. So that does make me feel somewhat more comfortable taking my kids.
See, and I'm different in that I don't care. I think that this virus, like most other viruses, anyone can get it. And we don't know if our kids are the kids that would be susceptible to it or not. So it's not that I'm like, well, statistics show that they're less likely to get it. I'm thinking they're as likely to get it as we are, because I have to think that way. Because I'm not going to act in a certain way and let them act in a different way. But
I get that.
Are they going to be honest with us about how they actually feel?
Their comfort.
That's my concern. I think in the beginning we told Olivia and Abby kids are less likely to get it, and all of a sudden they had this like, well, that's fine, then you guys go ahead and get it, we'll be fine attitude. And then the CDC came back and said, no, kids are just as likely. And now we're back to kids are less likely statistically.
So again, there's the
inconsistency.
We don't necessarily know everything about this because it's so new, but at the same time, over this period of time, I have to find something that gives me some sort of comfort, and the fact that the numbers are lower for the kids makes me feel better.
I get that.
And Abby, totally, after we were like, well, the kids are less likely to get it, she was like, well, then can I hang out with my friends again?
Yeah.
Let's be done with this.
Yep.
So she had a hard time not going, well, let's just be normal again.
So what we were thinking, because we were really having a hard time making the decision. We have all these thoughts in our heads, like everyone out there. So we thought we'd come to you guys and ask a couple of questions. And they are, what would you guys do if you were in our shoes? And I'm sure a lot of you are. In fact, we have seen a lot of people's videos where they're saying, hey, we're going to continue to go on this trip and this is what we're going to do. It might not be the trip we thought it was, but we're going to do it anyway. What else?
And what have we not thought about? What is your concerns out there that we haven't thought about?
And likewise, what are we overthinking in your opinion? We'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, if you think it's no big deal and you're way overthinking this, let us know, because that would probably make us feel better. Or if you have flown recently or traveled, and what was your experience? That would be awesome to know.
Know this, we're not trying to start confrontation or arguments. We know that this is a polarizing topic. This is a no judgment opportunity to have a conversation about, as things change, as we loosen up across the world, or in the world, throughout the world, what are we comfortable doing? We recognize that everyone has their own opinion and their own beliefs. We're not looking to judge anybody about that. We sincerely would love to hear from each of you guys what your thoughts are. We appreciate everybody that comments on our videos. They are always fun to read, and we thought that this would be a good opportunity for us to hear more from you guys, and we are excited about it. So please,
so let us
make
know.
a comment, like the video,
subscribe,
and that's it.
see you next time.